everybody on YouTube. I was asked by someone on YouTube if I would give my testimony, and I think anytime I'm willing to share kind of how we got to where we're at. It's going to be kind of hard to do on a video because I don't think anybody's going to want to watch something that's really long. But I'm going to go through the main points in my life that have made a big difference. So I grew up in church. I went to Catholic church pretty much my whole life for 19 years until I moved away in the military. And after I moved away in the military, I kind of left church for a while until I got into some problems in the military, and then I found my way back to church. And it was shortly after that when I actually met Stephanie, who didn't know at the time, but was going to end up marrying her 2.5 years later. So there I am, kind of halfway through my military career. I spent 6 years in the Navy, and really hadn't necessarily found the Lord, but I found an important person in my life who was going to be my other half, who was going to complete me, my wife. I did that when I was 22 years old, and she was 19, and we've been together now for 19 years, and what a blessing that's been. So I guess along that journey, because I think that's the part you have to understand as far as your family journey, kind of what gets you to understand where you're at as far as in your stages of your life. So at that point, I was probably too full of energy, too strong-headed, and too thinking in my mind I was too successful for my age to have time for the Lord. So there's a number of years there where I did not go to church at all. I'd pray every now and then, but it wasn't a prayer other than kind of for myself. I didn't think about others, and it was either for me or for my wife. Then fast forward about 5 years, then our son was born, Luke. And if you look at that, what that did for us at that time, it created a lot of change in our lives. My wife and I were no longer kind of in that honeymoon state. Certain pieces in our life that started causing some hardships as far as for marriage started coming along. Didn't necessarily have the best way to combat them. My wife and I, we'd always talk it out and we'd always be fine, but it really felt like we started missing things. And that's the point in our lives where we started figuring out, hey, you know what we're missing? We're missing the Father and the Lord. It's one of those pieces. So we started off going back to church, find a local congregation. At this time it was a Methodist church, and the pastor there was phenomenal. He was a great speaker. Actually baptized our son and our daughter, and a little bit to this day, my wife still keeps contact with his wife. So it's kind of amazing how that actually has happened, mainly through technology, through Facebook and stuff like that. But the other thing though that happened is we started moving around a lot because I started being pretty successful at work. Started climbing what they say the corporate ladder. Started doing those pieces and parts, and climbing the corporate ladder started pulling me away from my family. It wasn't necessarily by corporate ladder, I guess, standards. It was more because I really wanted to be successful at what I was doing. And I think overall, from a business standpoint, based on where I got to from the number of years that I worked in industry or in corporate America, I'd say that where I was at to where I ended up, I would say that by most standards, I would say I was pretty successful. But I think along that way, as we continued to find out more and more and read the Bible more, because when I was young, I was never encouraged to read the Bible. Started figuring out that I needed to read the Bible, and started taking those lessons from the Bible and seeing how they apply. And then understanding how, when the Father, Jesus, died for our sins, what did that really mean to me? Did that mean that I was able to go do whatever I wanted? Because I was given a get out of jail free card or a free chance? Or was it an opportunity for me and my family to go ahead and understand, because we were covered by the blood, should we go back and give thanks to our Father by actually understanding His laws a little bit more and wanting to make sure that we did the best we could from our family to serve Him the way He asked us to serve Him. We started diving back into the Old Testament because at the time we were only reading the New Testament. And we understand a lot about grace and His blood and all those types of things. And we understand how in some interpretations that is, I don't want to say it this way, but I really feel like a lot of people look at that as a get out of jail free card. In my family, as we went through different churches, different denominations, actually about probably 7 of them, we kind of realized that we didn't really want to be part of a necessarily quote a denomination. So there was a number of years that we decided that we would actually home church with a couple, 2 to 3 families that we actually enjoyed spending time with, fellowshipping with, reading the Word, studying the Word, calling each other up regularly and praying with each other, and it started really building our families up. And these aren't necessarily gentlemen that I would say are exactly real close to our family's age. Some are older, some are younger. Some would probably be closer to my parents' age. But I think that's one of the pieces that was so great about our home fellowship. We had that dichotomy that allowed us to look at the different age groups and understand that just because you were successful in some areas, you figured out really quick that you still had to lean on other people for their age and their wisdom. Because I really find in this country, we don't care about the elders. And the younger people, they're being left behind because a lot of the elders don't really care about them because they don't ever give the opportunity for the elders really to speak or listen. And they certainly don't listen to them. I think that's one of the things where I've found in my life as I've gotten older, and some of you are probably wondering how old I am, and I don't mind sharing. I'm 41 years old. So 41 years of age, I've gone from being part of the Roman Catholic Church for close to half my life, finding out over about a 15-year period that is not exactly where we wanted to be. I wanted to be in a different spot. And now for the last 5 years of my life, that's actually closer to 6.5, but for simple math purposes for my head. So the last 12.5, 13% of my life and my children's lives, we're studying something a little bit different than what other people would say. So we look at the New Testament portion to understand the grace and the covering of the sins and all those pieces that a lot of people want to focus on. And we did a lot of studying on that related back to church. And then we took that as far as saying, how do we repay that back to pay honor to our Father? And the best way to do that, we feel, as a family, is to actually follow the best we can today His laws. So I have no problem wearing tzitzits. I have no problem eating clean. As far as the food laws, working on as far as myself, only wearing certain clothes that only have one type of fabric in them, as far as cotton or wool or those types of things. But again, that's a journey in life where you're at. So we didn't swallow it all in one bite, just like we haven't taken and swallowed everything in homesteading in one bite. We did this as a series of things over 8 years before we decided to apply it all together. Slowly but surely, we've been understanding more and more about the Bible and understanding how we can relate that to our family. And we're taking that slow baby steps at a time also, because without that, I feel 1, you'd be overwhelmed. 2, you would potentially fall back to church or fall completely out of church, and you wouldn't exactly understand why you're doing what you're doing. So if we can't put all those pieces together and allow ourselves to understand the journey we've been on, and then how we can apply that to basically pay honor to our Father, that's kind of where we've been at as far as our family. And I've been the leader of all that. So in those particular ways, those of you that are listening to it may decide that, hey, this guy's crazy. Some of you may decide, I can understand that. And others of you may say, hey, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and actually do a little bit of research and see if this guy's actually talking about something worthwhile. And hopefully, any one of those will apply, and it'll allow you to make a different change for your family. Because I can tell you, for me, when I relate and look back at all the things that happened in my life, the one thing that I am probably most proud of that I was able to give up and change was allowing myself to come put God, Yahweh, our Father, first, put my family second, and then put work third. That's the order that I would like everybody to have that opportunity in their family. So put Yeshua, God, Lord, Father, Jesus, whatever name you want to call him, put him first. Take that, tie it to your family, a very close second, and then a third, put work. And if you do that in that order, I promise you, your life will be better than you've ever had it. And that for me was I guess a balancing act that I didn't have right for a number of years. But by finding certain things out and by challenging our family to understand the Bible differently, it gave us the courage to do things and actually allow ourselves to make sure that we set those priorities for our family and make a difference. Two more things that I'd like to share that are personal journeys that have happened specifically for me. One of them is, most of you that probably watch the videos, several comments that I've had and some actual individual emails sent to us asking how we're able to do as much work as we are on our homestead. And part of it's because it's a family, all working together. And another part, I really do contribute it to the fact that we keep the Sabbath. When I first, 4 years ago, I guess, maybe 5 years ago now, when we started keeping the Sabbath, I kind of did it not wholeheartedly. I mean, I did it as something to try. I kind of would think about, well, hey, here's all the other things I can get done if I had this extra day. And once I turned that over and actually said that I'm going to keep the Sabbath, it's amazing. In 6 days now, I guarantee I get more work done in 6 days than I ever did work in 7. Another big thing that happened to me in my life when we were on our journey, as we were transitioning through different churches. When I was 14 years old, I was diagnosed with mitral valve prolapse and a hole in my heart. And at the time, the only way they could fix that was actually to crack open my chest and fix that. So I'd have tests and other things like that run, and up until I was 34 years old, I went to go have it fixed. 2 weeks before I went to go have it fixed, they did the ultrasound, they shot the saline solution through my heart, through it in my veins, and you could see it passing through from the unoxygenated side of my heart to my oxygenated side, which caused me pains quite frequently. Enough where it would actually, at times, that shortness of breath that I would get would actually almost make me curl over. So I scheduled the surgery because they changed it. And the morning of the surgery, it was interesting. I was laying on the operating room table. I didn't even make it. It seemed like 3 minutes after they gave that to me, the doctor was waking me up. And the doctor goes, "Mr. Haas?" I said, "Yes, doctor." And he goes, "You don't have a hole in your heart." And I said, "Praise God." I said, "Can I go home now?" So when you have things like that happen in your life, as far as workload, physical changes to your body, it does something to your mind. And for those of you that still don't believe, I'm not going to change your mind. You're going to have to change it yourself. Shalom.